all those in favor of board item 1B, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? No, the motion is approved 4-0. Thank you so much. And we will now recess and reconvene upstairs in the boardroom.
Where's the fifth guy?
Commissioner Lucero has been excused for good cause. Paula and Tom here, and we are downstairs about to start this portion of the meeting dealing with fluoride. Okay?
Excellent. I'm in a boat, and I will follow as best I can.
All right, good enough. Good morning and welcome to this regular meeting of the Denver Water Board of Water Commissioners. We anticipated that we might see some familiar faces today as we vote regarding our practice of managing fluoride levels in drinking water. That's why we've moved this agenda item downstairs to this venue. We actually started the meeting upstairs, recessed, and came downstairs. We wanted to accommodate a greater number of people and members of the public if that was necessary under the circumstances. I welcome you all and we thank you for your interest in this issue. My name is Penfield Tate. I am one of the vice presidents on the board of water commissioners, and I'll ask the other commissioners to introduce themselves.
I'm Paula Kurzmark.
Tom Goujon.
Oh, and Greg, Greg Austin's on the phone. Greg, would you introduce yourself? Greg Austin, president of the board, is away, so he may have intermittent contact with us, but he's attempted to call in by phone. Let me begin by asking for a motion concerning item 1B, resolution of the board regarding community water fluoridation.
Move approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We will now open the floor for conversation and comment among the board. First, let me offer a few comments. I would note that Denver Water's history of practicing community water fluoridation dates back more than 60 years. As a result of the meeting we had, the public conversation, and some diligence and research we've done, we've reviewed the history and we've learned that we began as an entity to manage fluoride concentrations at the Moffett Water Treatment Plant in 1953 at the request and expense of the then Denver Board of Health as a public health function. In the late 70s, we assumed the cost of fluoridation and along with the treatment. In 1980, with the help of an $80,000 grant from the Colorado Department of Health, we expanded fluoride supplementation to our two other treatment plants. So throughout the history of this issue, we at Denver Water have based fluoride concentration target on recommendations from local, state, and federal public health authorities. Earlier this year, this board, having been approached by members of the public, felt it was appropriate to revisit the issue of community water fluoridation and to review our operations and seek input from relevant sources. We hosted a public forum a month ago on July 29th that many of you here attended to allow both proponents and opponents to address their concerns directly to the board. During the public comment period, Denver Water received input from nearly 1,100 individuals and organizations. Let me then stop and ask if there are any other comments from other board members. Greg, are you still with us? We anticipated Commissioner Austin might...
Yes, I am, and I have submitted my comments in writing, and because I'm getting an intermittent communication here, I'll just rely on those written comments I've submitted.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. And what we'd like to do is I'm going to take a moment to read your comments, understanding that your signal may go in and out. Commissioner Austin has submitted this statement for the record. To Denver Board of Water Commissioners, I am sorry that I am not available to attend in person the meeting of the board at which a vote is to be taken on continuation of Denver Water's current policy on community water fluoridation. I will attempt to attend by telephone. My position on community water fluoridation is set forth below. If I am able to attend the meeting by phone, it will serve as an explanation of my vote. If I am unable to attend, I would be grateful if my position would be put in the record of the meeting. After careful consideration of the information put forth by both sides of the fluoridation debate, I am convinced that community water fluoridation at the 0.7 ppm level recommended by the U.S. Public Health Service provides substantial health benefits and is a safe, cost-effective, and common-sense contribution to the dental health of the public. The board has heard support for community water fluoridation from the major public health agencies in the country, the state of Colorado, and the city and county of Denver, including the Surgeon General, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, Denver Health, Denver Environmental Health, as well as a broad coalition of public health, medical, and community-based organizations. In fact, there appears to be unanimity on the issue among respected public health officials, scientists, and medical professionals. Therefore, my vote is, or would be, to continue Denver Water's longstanding policy of adhering to the recommendations of the major public health agencies regarding community water fluoridation, and it's signed Greg Austin, Commissioner. I believe staff either has distributed or will be distributing the resolution that we will be voting on. Just to make a long story short, the resolution is for Denver Water to continue its existing community water fluoridation program. Are there any comments from any other commissioners at this time?
I'll just make a few comments. We've spent months now listening to the public, not just in the public hearing that we had last month, but members of the public have been to many of our meetings over the last number of months this year. We have had an opportunity to hear the science on the side that would have us change our policy, as well as the science on the side of maintaining the current policy that we have. So we've had an opportunity to really look at the landscape of what's available today on both sides of this issue. I would just make the comment that 70 years ago, nearly everyone in the United States had some kind of tooth decay. There weren't effective measures to deal with it, and there were a number of health problems that result from it. Fluoride supplementation has helped bring initial public control over a serious public health problem, tooth decay and its complications. Not just dental problems, but life-threatening infections resulting from those problems. The American Dental Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the U.S. Public Health Service, the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, all have provided detailed science on the importance of maintaining fluoride in the water. And in fact, the CDC has said that water fluoridation is one of the 10 great public health achievements of the 20th century. I personally do not want to substitute my judgment for the science and the expertise represented in these organizations, and I therefore will be voting for the resolution to maintain fluoridation at its current levels in Denver Health's water.
Thank you. Tom?
Thanks. I just have probably two things I'd like to say. First is, it's been a very interesting conversation and process. I'm thoroughly convinced at this point that the people representing both sides of the argument are completely sincere in believing that there is a public health issue here, and they are working on something important. So I think people's motives are sincere. that said, I think I approach this from a fairly pragmatic standpoint. If you think about our reality, our source water comes with fluoride, and the levels of fluoride that people receive in the system really are more a function of the source water and its chemistry than anything we do. So even if we believe there were both public health benefits and public health risks, even if we accepted that, if we stopped doing anything tomorrow, 80% of our customers would get the same level of fluoride that they do today, and everybody would still get fluoride in their water. 100% of them would receive that. So that is our reality. So I think, that for us to take that step would really be purely symbolic and have no meaning. And therefore, I think the real choices are: would you really move to eliminating fluoride as a constituent part of our water, or would you stay with the practice we have based on the benefits we believe have been demonstrated? I think we have no capacity today and probably no basis in facts to lead us to believe that removal process is yet something we would contemplate. And so when I look at that, it brings me back to the practical reality that what we are doing is moderating the levels that people receive, but the source water is dictating, by and large, the fact that fluoride is part of the reality. And so we think that's beneficial. We think the science to date says it has been mostly beneficial. On the other hand, we all need to keep learning, as we go forward. But the practical reality is, I don't think we should take symbolic steps. I think we should pay attention to this issue going forward, pay attention to the science. But today, what we're doing is probably the most responsible thing we can do, given the chemistry of our water.
Thank you, Tom. Let me begin by saying I agree with the comments of all three of my colleagues. And let me thank all of you for participating in this process. As many of you know, this has been a several months journey for us collectively together. Many of you that had some concerns about the practice of fluoridating water came to several of our meetings over the past several months. We talked, we heard your presentations, and as a board, we felt that you raised significant enough issues for us to stop, take a moment, pause, and actually investigate this matter in some level of detail. I think it's important that we share with all of you that as a board, we didn't just take everything at face value. We got information from a lot of different sources. We asked staff to go behind what was just written on papers, what was just presented, and do some diligence for us to actually give us more information, more detail, and we probably asked as many questions of staff as you asked of us. So the resolution we vote on today and the decision we make is not one we've come to lightly. There's been considerable conversation amongst us, and I'm sure considerable conversation for each of us sort of internally trying to figure out what's the best thing to do, what's the right thing to do. And I think for me personally, where I end up on this issue is I share several of Commissioner Goujon's observations. There's fluoride in the water, it's naturally occurring. I understand the concerns about the potential for too much fluoride consumption, and I think in an indirect way, we're actually supporting the position of some of you who don't want community fluoridation because we're at least regulating and evening out the amount of fluoride that comes with the water, so it's not just left to the vagaries of our various source water systems, where we're trying to provide some consistency and transparency so you know what is being done. But I think on balance, Denver Water has had a history of being on the lower end of the range even before the range was lowered by others, and we've maintained that more conservative approach because we do think there are beneficial aspects to the water fluoridation, particularly for young children and developing children. So for that reason, again, I thank you all for the concerns you brought to our attention. I'm sure that if it's not us, future board members will be faced with this conversation as the science continues to evolve, as we know more than we know now about what happens with water and water treatment, and it should be an ongoing conversation in this community. But for now, I am also convinced that the right thing to do is to maintain our current policy, continue the water fluoridation program we have in place until we see some compelling reason to change in the future. Are there any other comments from any other board members? No? With that, let's call the question. All those in favor of board item 1B, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? No, the motion is approved 4-0. Thank you so much. And we will now recess and reconvene upstairs in the boardroom.
Where's the fifth guy?
Commissioner Lucero has been excused for good cause.